So this is me. I am in Sierra Leone, West Africa, celebrating African Child's Day. And you can't tell from the picture, but I'm actually dancing to a musician who is beloved across Sierra Leone, Rihanna. And you're probably wondering, so what am I doing halfway around the world, dancing to Rihanna, celebrating African Child's Day, wearing this fantastic dress? So to answer that question, I want to bring you back a few years. I started noticing this very strange phenomenon. It was practically contagious. It was this strange thing in which my friends' hands started going from this to this. And it turns out it wasn't just my friends. This happens to more than 2 million women in the US alone. And those getting down on one knee are collectively spending more than $7.7 billion per year to do so. But my friends were conflicted. Culturally, they wanted to participate in this, but they'd heard from Leonardo DiCaprio and Blood Diamond that there was something wrong with the diamond supply chain. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to turn. And this was really interesting. We had a lot of questions here. The diamond industry was really mysterious. What was a consumer to do? This is a huge purchase. So I think because of my background, actually, it was something that it wasn't just an interesting question, but was actually something that became really sticky to me. So I want to pause just for a moment to give you a quick background. So I am a native Californian. I studied film and anthropology, and following graduation, I went and did community development in southern India. From there, I moved to San Francisco and did branding and marketing and design research for mission-driven companies, nonprofits, and Fortune 500 CSR programs. So if you'll humor me with my one graph of the day, this is kind of a Venn diagram of me, I suppose. So because of this, myself and two friends, one at the time who was an engineer and the other an investigative journalist, really started looking into this question, and what we learned was fascinating. So we learned that 65% of the world's diamonds come from Africa. So countries like Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Democratic Republic of Congo, Zimbabwe, Sierra Leone. We also learned that diamonds go through a really complex supply chain where there's exploration and mining in Africa, and then it's kind of sorted and evaluated, and then it goes to India mostly for cutting and polishing, and then it makes its way through London and Antwerp for auctioning and further pricing, and then goes on to New York or to retailers and to these jewelry stores and ends up on our fingers. I also learned a common misconception, which was in my mind that I had only heard about one company really monopolizing this industry and diamonds coming from these really large mines that were really expensive to create. And it turns out that 80% of diamonds around the world come from these large-scale mines. Then that means that 20% come from smaller diamond mines, like this one. This is a picture of an artisanal mine in Kono, Sierra Leone. These are artisanal diamond miners. A mine is about 20 feet deep. It can be mined with just a shovel and a sieve. And those miners, these diamond diggers who are doing this work really hard. They earn about $1.25 a day. They're not guaranteed to even find anything. And really, this is a poverty-driven activity. This isn't something that people go into to get rich. And this creates some real problems. For instance, the diamond digger who showed me this diamond that they had just found said that they would get about $10 from the local dealer. And that's a far cry from the hundreds to thousands of dollars that diamond is going to garner on the market. This becomes a real issue writ large when you look at that from a larger social and economic perspective. So this is a picture of downtown Koidu. This is the main drag. Diamond mining has been going on for more than 80 years in Koidu, and this is the main drag. Billions of dollars have been taken out, but very little of this money actually trickles down into the community. And I don't know if you can tell in the back, it looks like there's some mountains. So that's actually kind of a mountain of overburden from a mine that at the time was just finalizing their processing mill that was going to be the largest in the world. This is going to process 45,000 carats of diamonds a month. And yet this is the main drag. Because of war in this area, there's rampant illiteracy. Healthcare is meager, and there's very little opportunity. This really creates this vicious cycle of poverty, and poverty can create a lot of vulnerability that can lead to security instabilities as well. And that was the case actually in Sierra Leone. So perhaps some of you have heard about the war that took place in Sierra Leone. There was a civil war between 1991 and 2002, and this was fueled by the illicit sale of diamonds. Since that time, the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme has come in to say that, to certify rough diamonds that say these diamonds do not support armed conflict or civil war. And that's been very helpful, but it hasn't gone far enough. The latest figures show that Sierra Leone ranks 177th on the Human Development Index. That's out of 187 countries. And this is a very resource-rich nation, so there's something wrong here. It's also unfortunate from an environmental standpoint. If we look at artisanal diamond mining, there's very little accountability when it comes to actually reclaiming the mine after it's been mined out. So this destroyed land is just left open, and it prevents alternative livelihoods. The water comes and essentially rains the nutrients out and erodes the topsoil, making agriculture very difficult and putting the burden from those who are mining the land onto those who might want to grow it. And this is prohibitive. Additionally, when pits fill with water, they become disease and drowning risks to the community. There are a lot of issues going on here. I can't imagine a product with a bigger disconnect between the circumstances of giving and the circumstances of its source. And this is unacceptable. And so this is the part of the story where the complexities of the supply chain and all these issues really intersect with the challenge that my friends were experiencing a few years back. And while I'm up here today talking, I'm not here to say that we have the ultimate solution, but we did do something about it, and I think that we're onto something. And that something is the Clarity Project. And the Clarity Project is looking at a way to actually create diamond jewelry that can enrich the lives of those communities where the diamonds are sourced. So as we look to curate a value chain that can benefit those communities, we have this kind of this concept of, well, what is our theory of change? How can we make this difference? And that goes back to these diamond miners. So what if we can source diamonds and other gems and metals from sources where we know where they came from, where we have a sense of how they were mined, the actual experience of those who are mining, where there's some environmental standards and some compensation accountability, where we know that child labor hasn't been used. What if we can source from those mines and then create beautiful jewelry that people here in the United States want, that they can feel really confident in, that they know when they're giving those $6,000, that 3 months of salary, that it's something that they can feel really good about for the rest of their lives? And then can we take the profits, the proceeds from those sales to actually invest back into the community, to enrich the community? So beyond just diamond mining, they can plan for alternative livelihoods beyond this poverty-stricken artisanal diamond mining. So we started with one ring. And in 2009, we sold our first ring, and we've become this jewelry company where our goals really are to capture the potential energy that this supply chain can hold in order to improve sourcing, in order to create beautiful jewelry, and to help improve the lives of those miners on the ground. So there are a lot of issues. There's clearly a lot of hurdles that we have to overcome in getting there. We have a lot of questions that remain. how can we actually begin to source with these high standards and then scale it enough to meet a demand that we hope to create? Can we create cost parity and price parity? Will people actually be able to buy these? Can we imbue something like a diamond that is so known as a product and a symbol of love, and infuse it with ideas of opportunity and aspiration and hope? I believe we can. And in the few years that we've been around, and just as a small diamond jewelry company, we've been able to do quite a bit that I'm really excited about. We've been able to support more than 700 primary students through school. We've helped support more than 4 adult literacy programs. We've been involved in international policy conversations on developing a new supply of diamonds that don't just not do bad things, but can actually start to do really good things on the ground. So it brings me back to this school, Muddy Lotus School, where I was dancing to Rihanna. These are the children of diamond miners, and they show up with their shirts clean, with their hair done, in order to pursue those opportunities and their vision for their lives that their parents really never had an opportunity to. And by no means, I don't feel like we need to tell consumers that, oh, you need to find something that you can trust, and you need to talk to a diamond company that you can trust. And I absolutely do not need to go and speak to the people of Kono and say, you have a problem here, because they know. The consumers know. Those diamond miners know that there's a problem. We're just here to share the story and say that we're working on it too. And so I'm so grateful to be able to share this story with you today.